Hey, 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 we are here. We are on episode two. Episode two. Get excited. So yeah, episode two is gonna be me just sharing my story. Some of you guys know my story, some of you guys are new, don't know my story, and don't know why I actually really created this blog or this podcast or this platform, wherever you want to call it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my story today. So it all began when I was 6 years old. I was in the living room with my parents. I will never forget. I saw Marion Jones run the 100-meter dash in the Olympics. Now, we're not going to talk about the stuff that happened later on when we found out about Marion Jones. But and in that moment, like when I was 6 years old, she was my hero. Like I wanted to be like Marion Jones. I wanted to be fast. I wanted to run track just because of how inspiring she was at the Olympics. I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Began racing the kids on my block. Was running faster than them. I was like, okay, I'm like the fastest kid in the world, not knowing that I'm only in Philadelphia, really Yaden. At that time, didn't experience the world, but I just knew I was the fastest kid in the world. So yeah, I from that moment I started to run at little meets. My parents would put me in meets that I would run in, and I was doing good. I was like, okay, like I have some turbos on me, like I'm running pretty fast. So I just knew that I wanted to run track, like in middle school, high school, and in college. So I was determined, literally determined to do anything that I could do, work hard, and to make it to my ultimate level. So I ran in middle school, ran in high school. My journey, I would say, really, really started in high school. Even though I did run in middle school, I had an amazing coach. She started the foundation. My parents started the foundation, but she continued the foundation of it. And then when I got to high school, that's when things, obviously got real because state championships, nationals, colleges recruiting you. So that's when I was like, okay, girl, you got to be on your A game. So I actually had two coaches in high school. Shout out to Coach Williams and shout out to Lenny. Those are my two coaches in high school. So my freshman year and sophomore year, I had Miss Williams. Freshman year didn't go as planned. A little baby trying to figure out the waters of high school track. But I got out there, did what I had to do, even though I wasn't, number one. But I ran my best. Not junior year, sorry, I'm fast forwarding. Sophomore year was a really great year. So I actually ended up winning the 200-meter dash because at that time I was running like the 1 and 2. And I actually won the 200-meter dash my sophomore year. I was like, okay. Sophomore Brit, like going out there, running, doing what I gotta do. Actually, one of the medals is up there somewhere. So yeah, I was like, okay, I can do this. Like I can be one of the best in the state of Pennsylvania. I just have to continue to work hard. Like that, just in that moment, I was like, okay, like I can actually do this. So it all changed though because my junior year and senior year, I got a new coach. His name was Coach Lenny. And he was like, no, you're not running the 200. You're not a 200-meter runner. Yes, you run it in state, but like you have the potential to be really great in the 400-meter dash. So even though I did run the 200 here and there, my main focus was the 400-meter dash. And I'm so grateful that he actually switched me to the 400-meter dash because the 400 started to become a baby. Like it was what I wanted to run. I loved it. I love that it was a sprint, but it was also like an endurance race as well back then. Because now these kids are running the 400-meter dash in a full sprint. Okay. But yeah, I was switched to the 400-meter dash. My junior year didn't go as planned. I ended up getting injured. I think I had a stress fracture my junior year. My senior year was amazing. I was a two-time state champion my senior year. I won the 400-meter dash indoor and I won it outdoor. Fun fact about the outdoor state championship, I actually made it in the 2 and the 400. When I was running the prelims and the 200-meter dash, I ended up straining my hamstring. My coach was like, okay, what do you want to do? Like, I can see that you're obviously in pain. Like, should we just scratch the 400? And I looked at him. I said, I'm not gonna let nobody take my championship away from me. Not gonna do it. The 400, the 400 was my baby. Like, no, 200, we can scrap that, whatever. But like, I'm gonna go out there. If I have to wrap my hamstring, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna run this 200-meter dash because not 200, this 400-meter dash because this is my baby. And that's exactly what I did. I wrapped my hamstring. I ran the 400. I gave it all I got, and I ended up winning the 400-meter dash outdoor that year. So I was just like, oh, thank God I actually did run it because, I can add that to my accolades. So that's a little fun fact about my senior year, my 400-meter dash outdoor championship. So ultimately, in my high school career, I was a 3-time state champion. I also ran at nationals. Fun fact about that too, I was sick the night before nationals and I had the stomach flu. Said the same thing to my coach, I'm not gonna let anybody take it away from me. Didn't get number 1, but I did place number, is the medal up there? I think I placed number 3 or 4. 4th in the nation, I believe it was. Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up, guys. I don't remember. But I ended up placing in the nation. I think it was number 4 or 3. I don't know. Okay, whatever it was, I ended up placing at nationals. So those were just great moments. My high school career, I was like, okay, I proved to myself that I could actually do this thing. And when it came to senior signing day, I ended up choosing the University of Houston, as you guys can probably tell. University of Houston. Simply because my coach, which is Lewin Burrell, he went to my high school and he ran at University of Houston, Olympic champion, state champion, and then he coached there. So I was like, he's from where I'm from. He made it to the levels at which I wanted to make it to. So why not? So I ended up going to the University of Houston freshman year. I had a stress fracture in my shin. Because I had a stress fracture in my shin, I redshirted that year. So I obviously just rested that year. My sophomore year, it got a little better. I was coming back from an injury. I was running a little bit of PRs from my high school. Well, I won't say from my high school, but I was running faster than what I ran in high school. So I was seeing a little light at the end of the tunnel because at first I was like, oh, strain my hamstring. I'm resting, just doing physical therapy, but I wasn't really running. So I was really proud of myself for actually doing something. It wasn't what I wanted, but it was doing something. My junior year, I was really surprised that it was trash because I was seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and I thought I was going to get better my junior year and didn't. It was horrible. So we're just going to skip that year. But my senior year and my redshirt year were literally my 2 best years. So my senior year, which was also 2012, it was time for Olympics. Started the year out really strong, running top 25 times in the nation, winning my conference championships, doing well. And indoor, won the conference championship. Outdoor, I think I missed nationals by 1 place. Indoor too. Yeah, it was by 1 place. And then my outdoor year, I was like, okay, this is it. I have to run the qualifying times for the Olympic trials. And so I ultimately did run the qualifying time for the Olympic trials. However, even though my outdoor season started so well and I ran the time, the moment in which I ran the time was the same moment that I strained my hamstring. Same moment that I strained my hamstring. Okay. So that, I'll always say that was the beginning of the end for me because that injury was so reoccurring that I could just never recover from it. So yes, I ran the Olympic trials time. I actually was going to run for Jamaica. So for those who don't know, I'm actually Jamaican. I was, getting my dual citizenship to run there, and I ended up strained my hamstring, so I didn't even get the opportunity to run at the Olympic trials. I was devastated because I felt like this was really my opportunity to try to make it to the Olympics, and I ran the qualifying time, couldn't go. My coach was excited, I was excited, couldn't go. So my senior year actually just didn't end how I wanted to end. Now, my redshirt year, it started out well again, running top 25 times in the nation, but then I ended up injuring my hamstring again outdoor. And even though I didn't get to run at the Olympics, I was like, okay, maybe I could just strive to like run professionally, do what I have to do. My redshirt year, which was my really last chance in my collegiate career to do something, ended up injuring myself my outdoor year. So yeah, I was just like in the moment of, once I realized like my hamstring is just not getting better, I can feel it, it hurts, it's painful. What am I gonna do now? What is next for me? Because I don't want to keep going through the emotional roller coaster of, wow, I'm doing really good, and then boom, my hamstring strains again, or it tears, or it becomes even worse, So I was just like, what am I going to do now? I did try to continue to run post-collegiate, run professionally, but strained my hamstring again. It just kept happening. So ultimately, I strained my hamstring 3 times. Strained my hamstring senior year, strained my hamstring redshirt year, and strained my hamstring again when I was training professionally. It's like, I'm done. I don't want to keep going through this emotional roller coaster. Like, what is next for me? I had no clue what was next for me. I mean, my identity was just wrapped up in track. It was all I knew. It was who I was. Didn't really know how to like redefine myself or to pivot outside of life after sports. So that's when depression and anxiety and lack of committing to things and just emotional fatigue would kick in, and I had to really figure out like, okay, what are we gonna do? Like, I was depressed for like, I want to say 5 years before my husband was like, then he wasn't my husband, he was like maybe my boyfriend or fiance at the time, I don't know, but he was just like, okay, like, I think it's time for you to really go see a therapist because you're at the point where you don't want to get out of bed. So I decided to see a therapist, and she was like, hey, why don't you try to, just blog about your journey, blog about your story, because, you might not know it, but like somebody else might be going through the same thing. And by you sharing your story, it might, bless somebody else. It might help you heal, might help you get it all out there. Because I was just devastated that I didn't reach my ultimate goal. So that's when I decided to create Redefining Myself, which was the previous name for the Athletic Pivot, which it is now. Decided to create Redefining Myself, and as I started to share my story and like just the real what was going on with me, like me being depressed, me not knowing what's next, a lot more athletes started to reach out to me like, hey, like, thank you for sharing your story because I'm going through this as well. Thank you for sharing my story because I didn't know what was going on with me. I just thought like, this is it for me. Like, I wanted to commit suicide. Like, yeah, I had a lot of people reach out to me and say I wanted to commit suicide. Like, I didn't know what was next. So I was just, okay, there's something to this. Let me, create a platform to where I can share my story, share other athletes' stories, and we can all connect and realize like you're not alone. So that's how Redefining Myself got started. Obviously, I rebranded, and now it's the Athletic Pivot. I'm just so grateful for all the people who have reached out to me that wanted to share their stories, and I just cannot wait to share everyone's stories and just like know that like it's not perfect in life after sports. It's not perfect. Like, and don't let the pressure of people wanting you to or expecting you to make that level get to you, because ultimately you have to worry about yourself. Yes, it's a lot of pressure. A lot of people want you to make it to that level, want to see you succeed, but reality is like less than 2% of people make it to the professional level. And we have to figure out what is next with our life. We have to overcome the idea of making it, because sometimes we're not going to make it. So we get to the point of learning how to redefine ourselves and learning the transition, learning the journey. It's a long one, and I'm just so grateful to have this platform, this podcast, to help you guys learn the journey, help you guys overcome certain things, help you guys overcome those limiting beliefs that you might have in life after sports, and talk through depression, talk through anxiety, talk to lack of commitment to things, because it's needed. It's needed. And I'm here for it. I'm here to help you guys do all of that. So thank you guys for letting me share my story. As I go on with this podcast, I'll definitely be digging deeper into my story. This was just like a general overview of what my journey was like, but it's much deeper. So with this podcast, I'm going to be sharing my story, sharing other people's stories, digging deeper, showing the good, the bad, the ugly. So just stay tuned for what's to come. Thanks, guys. Enjoy.